Welcome back to Podiatry Marketing. I'm your host, Jim McDannald, joined as always by my noisy and trusty co-host, Tyson Franklin. Tyson, how are you doing today?
I am fantastic today, Jim. What a start to this podcast. Whew. Talk about, I didn't know if we were going to get this one done because you kept laughing.
Oh, I didn't realize you could make so many different sounds before we started the podcast. That was very, very impressive.
My wife says it all the time. I don't really notice it. She said, but you'll be doing something and you just make this, you do these different sounds when you're doing certain things. And I didn't realize getting warmed up for this episode, I was making numerous sounds.
That was
smacking
good.
smacking my lips together, tapping my head. It was all good.
Putting a smile on my face, so it's all good there. So what are we going to jump into today?
Today we are going to talk about business names, but more the strategy, and then at the end I just want to talk about the protection part of it.
Okay.
I've got a number of notes written down here, so because it's very important. And the thing is, what I got here is the reason your business name is important. One, it's part of your business identity. So as soon as your business name goes up there, it can actually set you apart from your competitors, but it tells your patients what it is that you actually want. And there's a lot of power in a business name. And some people, I think everyone would have known, you see some business names and you go, I've seen some podiatry business names. And I just look at them and I go, what were you thinking? Like when you had finished snorting that Coke, what went through your mind when you came up with that particular business name? Because some of them are not very good. And I'm hoping that after people listen to this, if they're looking at the business name, they go, you know what? Yeah, you're right. It's not very good. Here's the good news is if you don't like your current business name, if you're no longer happy with it, you can just change it. There's no law that says that you must come up with a business name, put it out there, and that's basically it. You can change it at any time. And when you do, it's a different whole story about doing rebranding and how you come up with your business name. But yeah, if you're really not happy with it, consider changing it.
I mean, that's something that I think is really, really important. I think, you kind of get into a name, maybe you take over practice from somebody, and it's just not the
Yeah.
right match for the type of care you want to provide. So if you can have, a name that attracts the exact type of patient you want to treat and maybe just shows other folks that you're not the right person for them, it can be a very powerful thing because, the name of your clinic is going to be, it's going to be on your building, it's going to be on your door, it's going to be on all your advertising, it's going to be everywhere on your social channels. Anytime it refers to you and your clinic, it's going to be there. It's a hugely powerful thing. It shouldn't be underestimated.
No, and that's why I think a lot of time needs to go into to really think about the business name. And especially if the business name has changed, if your business has evolved over the years, then it's okay to change it. And I'll give you an example. How I changed mine and why I changed, but I'll talk about that in a sec. So if your business was known for a particular service, but then all of a sudden you've started to introduce other services, and therefore what you're doing now and the focus of your business is completely different, then consider changing the name. You might add a word like sports into the clinic, because you might be such and such in sports podiatry, or you might be doing a lot more orthotics now. You might become like a bit of an expert when it comes to prescribing orthotics and manufacturing them, fitting them. So maybe orthotics needs to be in your business name. And I've seen that with a lot of podiatry clinics lately where they've kept their normal business name, but then they've added end orthotics because they're now doing that a lot more than what they were beforehand. So just think of where your business starts doesn't mean that's where it needs to finish. If it's evolved, look at your business name. Can the business name evolve and change with you?
I think that's a great point. If you're providing sports medicine or orthotics and it's there in the name, it's going to be, like I said, it's going to be everywhere. So, so why not add it in there to really show your local community what you want to do and who you want to treat? I think it's hugely powerful.
Yeah, and also make sure, to me, a simple business name is the best business name. Yeah, just make it so that it's easy to remember. Don't make it too long. I've seen some business names where they're extremely long, and you go, okay, I hope I can actually remember that, or you only remember parts of it, and try and make it a little bit more unique compared to everybody else's name. If you can come up with a unique word, I've seen some great ones. over the years. The one that I really like is one called Fetology, which they're coaching clients of mine. But I just love the name. I think it's a fantastic name because it says what it is. It says Fetology, and then they could add podiatry and orthotics. But it's a unique name, and that really helps you stand out from what everybody else is doing. And even my own, when I was Pro Arch Podiatry, I made the word Pro Arch was made up, but Pro Arch Podiatry made us stand out a little bit more to everybody else. But what you want to avoid doing is avoid using what I call nothing words. And a nothing word is clinic and center. I've seen that so many times where you might have a business and they call it ABC Podiatry Center or ABC Podiatry Clinic. And I remember reading this somewhere that when you hear such and such podiatry clinic, such and such podiatry center, people only remember the center and clinic part. They remember podiatry clinic, podiatry center. So if you've got 3 places in your area, in your community, and you're finishing with podiatry clinic or podiatry center, patients can't tell the difference between them. When they hear the advertising, they only hear center. So you can do a quick test that if you looked at your business name, removed the nothing word, if it still sounds exactly the same, then just do it. So ABC Podiatry Center, remove the center, ABC Podiatry. Remove the clinic, ABC Podiatry. So if somebody heard your name, you were talking to someone, you said, I'm ABC Podiatry, people can remember ABC Podiatry, like Pro Arch Podiatry. But if you were ABC Podiatry Center and there was another one, Cairns Podiatry Center, people hear the Podiatry Center. And that's the part that gets confusing. So you want to keep your name simple. If you can make it a little bit unique, do that and bugger off any words that don't need to be there, that are not really adding anything to the name.
Yeah, I've seen some clinics with 4 to me is like a little bit. If you can just do 3, 2 or 3 is kind of like the best. 4
Yeah.
it gets a little long, and then anything over 4, I think is just like time to go back to the drawing board because it just becomes number one. It becomes a very difficult website URL to have. If you're making someone write basically like a paragraph.com to get to your website, that's not going to be great. But it is one of those things where, yeah, you do have to find a way to really brand yourself because, if something that's memorable, like Pro Arch Podiatry just sticks out, right? And
it was easy.
It's 2 words, those kind of things. I worked when I was in my podiatry, I worked with a clinic called, Slocum Orthopedics. It was like a name and then orthopedics. It just was, then they would just call it Slocum, right? They didn't call it orthopedics.
Yeah.
I always see the people at Slocum. So it's just one of those things that just catches on if you do the naming and the branding, the kind of the correct way that will kind of lead it to be easier to communicate to others in the future.
Yeah, well, we'd have people come up to us and go, oh, you own Pro Arch. No one even used the word podiatry. Everyone just knew the word Pro Arch because you say all roads lead to Pro Arch, which they did. It was like Rome. Now, the other thing you want to do is check if your name is already registered. So I'm going to run through about business name registration, but then also something else that's even more powerful. So before you go any further with coming up with your business name, please do not go and get stationery printer, put a sign or do anything until you've checked that somebody else doesn't already have the name. And I have seen that happen where there's been businesses that have got a name up, they started promoting it, and all of a sudden I've seen them change their name. This is not podiatry. And I knew the person said, you were called this a couple of weeks ago. Oh yeah, somebody else already owned it. We forgot to check. So make sure you do not do that. In Australia, you would go to the Australian Securities and Investment Commission, ASIC, to go and check it out. Every country would have a search area where you could check for business names. What is it in the States?
I started a couple of businesses in the U.S., but I can't remember exactly what it is. But if you Google it, business names, U.S. registry, it's like the U.S. maybe it's like the U.S. Business name registry. If you Google that, you'll be able to find it, but definitely exists, and you definitely want to, check that out before you make any kind of long-term
before you do anything
investments.
else.
Yeah, for sure.
Just check, is the business name available? Because I remember some of the first business names I came up with, and I went looking up, gone. And I went, oh, okay, that's a bit of a pain. Then ProArch came about and it was awesome. Well, it wasn't their first name. Now, the next thing is to check if the domain name is available. And I think this is something you check first before you even check the business name, because it's also, domain names are like, they're just valuable real estate. Once that's taken, it's basically gone. Side note for everybody, if you don't already have the domain for your own name, go and get it now. Go and get it. Talk to Jim, talk to anyone. Just get your domain name done. That's why I have tysonfranklin.com, tysonfranklin.com.au, because they're the two most common, because there's a lot of Tyson Franklins out there. And so I wanted to make sure I have it. So, yeah, like Jim McDannald, do you own the domain for that?
I think I own McDannald.org, but there's not that many Jim McDannalds in the world. I think I'm one of maybe 2 or 3 if I check it out. So
Yeah, you need to be bigjimmac.com.
Podiatry
Get that
Growth, I was surprised I could get that, and even that Podiatry.marketing that our podcast is hosted on. So
Yeah.
those are hugely beneficial things.
But it's important real estate. So get there before somebody else gets it. And the other thing is, when I see a business name, I expect the domain name to be identical to it or a shortened version. So I was ProArch Podiatry, and our website at the time was proarch.com.au. That's nice, easy to remember. And I think that's why the name just...
Great domain.
Yeah, why ProArch just became easy to remember, because everyone just went proarch.com.au, and our marketing said, oh, go to proarch.com.au. So it's sort of just stuck in everybody's head. So if the domain name is available, I recommend you get it for your country, plus also get the .com if it's available, because the .com is becoming it's universally recognized. And I'm noticing more and more businesses are getting the .com if they can, especially if they are dealing with people overseas as well. But like in Australia, you would get .com.au. If you're in the UK, you would get .co.uk as well as the .com. So just think about it. Whatever one you've got now for your country, if the .com one is available, just go and take it. It doesn't cost a lot of money, and it just gives you that little bit of extra security.
Yeah, and people, if maybe the non-technical podiatrists here on the podcast, just know that you can always kind of reroute where that .com goes to. So if your website's built on .com.au or .co.uk or any other one, like I said, we own podiatry.marketing, right? We don't own podiatrymarketing.com, but you could basically take that domain and just kind of reroute it. So whatever it lands on, if you have proarch.com, you can reroute it to proarch.com.au. These are something your marketing company or anybody dealing with your website should be easily taken care of. It's always better to have more of them than not enough, so it's something that make sure you have those kind of high level and kind of important, as close to your business name as possible, because then when you have those domains, then you can also use things like your clinic's email as well with them. There's ways of setting that up. So.
Yeah, and like mine, I have tysonfranklin.com, I have tysonfranklin.com.au. So no matter which one you do, it all goes to the same tysonfranklin.com. But I also have podiatryadvisor.com, podiatryadvisor.com.au. You type that in, it'll go to Tyson Franklin, because I just never got around to setting up a separate page for that. But it is just one of those things. Yeah, talk to the people that help you with your website, or talk to Jim, and they'll tell you, they'll do it for you. Don't talk to me. I talk to these other people and get them to do it for me. Now, the other important question to ask yourself is, can your business name grow with you? This is really important. Because if you're planning on world domination, you got to think about, does your business name still work? So my original business name in Cairns was, what was it? Geez. North Queensland Podiatry was what I called myself. And I'm thinking, North Queensland Podiatry. Oh, North Queensland, it's a big area. But I eventually wanted world domination. And that's how the name ProArch came about. I said, well, I want to set up another clinic like in Townsville, Mackay, Sunshine Coast, Gold Coast, the world. I wanted the world. So I sat there and went, North Queensland Podiatry isn't really going to cut it. So I sat down with a 6-pack of Cronus a lime, a big sheet of paper, and a sharp pen. And I just kept writing down all these, what we did and all that. And eventually the word professional, art supports, pro arts, that's how it sort of came together. I think it was on about the fourth or fifth Corona that it sort of like just fell into place. But as soon as I saw it, I went, that's it. I just knew that was the name. It just felt right. And then I showed it to a few other people and said, oh, here's a group of names. And every single person just said, the Pro Arch one sounds fantastic. And I went, that's the way it's going to be. But I'll tell people, initially, it was Pro Arch Podiatry Center. Yeah. How's that? How sucky was that? I had Pro Arch Podiatry Center for the first couple of years until I read about nothing words. And I went, oh, I'll take that. How's it sound? Pro Arch Podiatry. Well, that sounds even better, doesn't it? And that's how I got rid of it.
There you go.
So it confused a few people to start with, but they didn't understand why we dropped it. But then it just became accepted. So I know some people might have their podiatry clinic, and they might have it, Brown Street Podiatry because they're on Brown Street, which is fine. If you're never planning on moving from Brown Street, it's great. And if you own the building on Brown Street, it's even better. If you don't own the building on Brown Street and you're called Brown Street Podiatry and your landlord's a mongrel, and I saw this happen with a doctor's surgery here in Cairns. They were called Abbott Street Medical or something, I think. I don't know if their landlord was a mongrel or not, but because they were on Abbott Street. And when they eventually moved, they were Abbott Street Medical at a shopping centre, completely nowhere near Abbott Street. And then I think eventually they just became Abbott Medical. So they got rid of the street. So there was a way of actually getting around it. So just be aware that is your business name very location specific? And go back to the original thing that I said before, you can change your name if you're planning on world domination or being in multiple areas.
No, absolutely. There's some benefits benefits and some negative consequences, like you said, of naming it to local. Obviously Google and search engines love to kind of have local names thrown in there. It can be helpful.
Oh yeah,
for rankings and such. But at the same time, it's a bit generic though, and it's one of those things where if you're going to be in it for the long term, maybe it makes sense to try to build a brand that sticks out, that's not necessarily tied to a location. And like you said, if you want world domination, you definitely have to get more creative with some Coronas and a sharp pen. So
yeah, and limes. You got to put limes in there to
make
it even better. Now the other part I think you should do too when you're looking at your name is avoid odd and funny spelling. And so you're not trying to be too clever with it. And it's one of those things, if you've got something that's spelt a little bit odd and you constantly have to keep explaining it to the person, go, oh, it's in your business. Oh, it's this. Oh, but I've got to spell it for you. And you got to spell it. You go, oh yeah, this is our website. And then you tell them, and that the initial thing they're thinking is not how it's spelt. Long term, it can work if the people get the hang of it. And I've got a great example. There were physios here in Cairns, and they were called Fix Me Physio, PHYX. Fix. Very clever because of physio, PHY, for physio. But FIX may have been just as easy, Fix Me Physio. And I've seen other people where they'll go such and such, for you. And it's a 4 and a U.
Yeah.
Would have been better to have FORYOU. So I know sometimes fix and like for you that they may look clever. And long term, when everyone gets the hang of it, they go, oh, yes, I know it's fix, PHYX. So it's easy to find. But initially, you need to do a lot more hard work. So just think about, do you really need to make it clever spelling or odd? Or can you just spell it the way it's supposed to be spelled and still get away with it?
You're going to buy a lot more domain names if you're going to get clever with it. If you if you want to make sure people are landing on your website, because there's a lot of different ways. Fix me physio for you, or something like that. There's just so many different iterations that you would have to buy. So, and if you don't want to keep on telling people, oh, this is like the number or the letter or those things, that's just it's a bit of a buzzkill when you're trying to introduce people to your business initially.
Yeah, but and when I think of the business name Feetology, best thing about that, it's spelled exactly how you'd say it.
Mhm.
You can't spell it any other way. But if they were Feetology, PHYT, feet, I'd be going, I'd be saying something else. I'd be going, that's awful. Get rid of it. But
Right.
being spelled feet, FEET, ology, makes sense. I know they listen to this podcast too. So shout out to Mark and Ari. They're probably listening. I'm not going to tell them we maybe spoke about them on this podcast. I'll let them find out. So if they never mention it to me, I'll know they missed this episode. But business names hold value. And so once you've created your business name, I can't stress this enough, you need to protect it. It's something you really need to protect it because it holds value. And this is the part that a lot of people don't realize. People that know me realize this because I harp about it a lot. Just because you own the business name doesn't mean it's protected. Doesn't mean it's protected nationally. So I've seen a lot of businesses where they have a podiatry name in Queensland and that same podiatry name is in New South Wales, Victoria. So when people are actually Googling the name, I've gone to Google someone I know that's in Victoria, their business name, and next thing it's gone to someone in Perth because they get exactly the same business name. And I just assume that's probably what their domain name would have been. But no, their domain name is something a little bit different. Your real protection, if you have a business name and you think it's awesome and you really want to protect it so nobody else can steal it from you and you are like totally protected, is you need to get a trademark for it. And you can easily go, same thing, look up where do I register trademarks in your country. I've done about 11 of them myself so far for different things. It is really easy to do yourself. The paperwork is very simple. If you're not quite sure what to do, then go and see a lawyer. It'll cost you more, but at least they'll tick all the boxes. And especially if you're thinking of having this, if you come up with a domain name, I come up with a trademark. It might be not just for your podiatry clinic, but you might come up with a product or something within your podiatry clinic. You might invent something within your podiatry clinic. As soon as you invent it, go and get the trademark and protect it. And like I said, if you don't want to do it yourself, get a lawyer involved, but it will just cost a little bit more. But it's the same thing. It won't cost you an arm and a leg.
I think it's a great point. I think there's definitely, the internet and ChatGPT and those things can walk you through sometimes what the steps of what a trademark are. But if you just want to make sure it's rock solid, you have just like, or just have it, maybe you fill everything out and you just want to have a lawyer just take a look at it to kind of rubber stamp it. That might be a little bit easier than just like having them fully do it for you. But I think you're right. If you have a great idea or you just want to have a trademark, it's better to pay a little bit more to make sure that you do it the right way.
Yeah. So if I was setting up a business tomorrow, my order would be trademark first. Come up with the idea of the business name, and then firstly, can you get the trademark for that business name? Because if you come up with a business name and you come up with a domain and you go, oh, I'm so cool. And then someone down the track, they actually already owned the trademark. They can take it off you because it's theirs. It's not yours. And ASIC, well, in Australia, the people that register your business names don't talk to the people that have the trademark. And I've seen that happen as well, which is why I always say to people, if you have the trademark for your business name, for your podiatry clinic, every couple of months, do a search for your business name and make sure that it is protected, that nobody else is using it and they haven't taken it. And I used to do this every couple of months. Go online and I just put in Price Podiatry, make sure no one was using it. And we had another trademark, which was walk-right footwear. So one particular time I looked up walk-right footwear and all of a sudden there was walk-right footwear and there was a shoe company in Australia that was about to introduce this new shoe into the country called walk-right footwear. And I went, no, you're not. So I contacted them and said, just let you know, I own the trademark for walk-right footwear. So you can't bring that shoe in to Australia unless I give you permission. And they were, can we have permission? I went, no. I said, well, I'm a reasonable man.
Make me an offer I can't refuse.
Make me an offer so you can buy the trademark off of us. I said, or you can just pay us a percentage of the shoe sales that go through the country. I said, I'm reasonable. And they were, well, we refused to do that. So I refused to let you use the name. So they didn't bring the shoes in. Just didn't happen. And I still check it every couple of months. I don't even own the shoe shop anymore, but I still own the trademark. So that's the power of a trademark. So remember, you got an idea of a business name, check the trademark first. Yes, you can get it, get the trademark, get the business name, get the domain name, just get it all in order. And I tell you, just check this. This is something you need to do now if you haven't done it already. You just really need to be on this to cover your butt. And anytime you think of setting up a new clinic, go back and listen to this episode again, just to make sure you're ticking all the boxes.
No, that makes sense. I think there's a lot of people out there that maybe are stuck with a name that they know isn't right for their clinic and they don't really what to do. So definitely by listening to what you said here today, or if you have additional questions, you can obviously email Tyson to get his 2 cents on the name of your clinic. I'm happy to do as well. But no, this is great information, Tyson.
Yeah, and just one final thing, just to finish up. If you know somebody has breached it, they used your trademark, your business name, whatever it is, you need to take action straight away. You can't let them set the business up and run and do it for years. Because if you knew that they were doing it for years and go, oh, okay, now they've become really big and they're bigger than me, and then you go to complain about it. Sometimes if they've used it for too long, there's not much you can do about it. So as soon as you notice it, this is why you need to be checking on a regular basis. You have a trademark, you see somebody in another state is using your name because they didn't check, you need to bring it to their attention. So that's all I've got to say on the subject, Jim. And yeah, reach out to Jim and I if you need any help coming up with business names. I love coming up with business names. They're fun.
Yeah, naming a business, or I remember when I was naming Podiatry Growth, and then obviously trying to figure out, obviously the name of our podcast maybe isn't the most original, but at the same time very on point. But
nobody else had it.
Exactly. So no, I would definitely love spending time coming up with those names. So yeah, definitely reach out.
Okay, Jim, I will talk to you next week.
Sounds great, Tyson.
Okay, see you. Look after yourself.
You too. Bye now.
Bye.